All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about new platforms in the enterprise world, Microsoft AI Foundry. Let's get it explained.
It's funny. Anyone with a laptop can spin up a cool little AI demo these days. It feels almost easy, right? But taking that cool demo and turning it into a secure, scalable, and fully governed application that your entire company can actually depend on, well, that is a whole other ballgame. So how in the world do you cross that chasm?
And that's exactly where Microsoft Foundry steps in. It's built from the ground up to solve that exact enterprise scale problem. The best way to think about it? It's like a specialized factory, a platform as a service or PaaS that's laser focused on designing, building, and managing AI apps and intelligent agents for the messy, complex reality of a big organization. So here's our game plan. We're going to cover what Foundry is and, more importantly, why you should care. We'll start by thinking of it as a central command center, then we'll break down its three core pillars. After that, we'll see how it brings AI agents to life, walk through the entire developer journey from idea to reality, and cover the all-important security features. And we'll wrap up by talking about why this thing is, frankly, a pretty big deal.
Okay, first up, let's really dig into this idea of a command center, because that's probably the single best metaphor for understanding what Foundry's trying to be for your company's AI strategy.
So before Foundry, your AI world was probably scattered. You had your models over here, your data somewhere else, security policies in another system, and billing reports coming from all over the place. Foundry says no more. It becomes the single central hub in Azure where everything related to generative AI, we're talking billing, security, monitoring, deployment, it all gets pulled together and managed from one spot. So what's holding this command center up? What makes it all work? Well, it's all built on three deeply integrated pillars. Together, they give you a complete foundation for building truly intelligent systems.
And here they are. First, you have the models. These are the brains of the whole operation. Then you've got agents, which are like the orchestra conductors, making sure everything works together to get a job done. And finally, you have tools, which are the hands and feet, the layer that lets the agents actually interact with the real world. Let's look at each one.
So let's start with the models. And the scale here is just wow. We're talking about a catalog with over 11,000 models available. And look, this isn't just about having a giant number to brag about. It's about making sure you have the perfect tool for whatever job you need to do. And what's really cool is the sheer variety. Of course, you get the powerhouse proprietary models from Microsoft like GPT-4o, but you also get access to the best open models out there from folks like Meta, Mistral, and Anthropic. But the real magic bullet here, it's this consistent API contract. What that means is you can swap models in and out, say from an expensive, powerful one to a cheaper, faster one, without having to rewrite all your code. That is a game changer. Okay, on to our second pillar, agents. If the models are the brains, the Foundry Agent Service is the central nervous system. This is the part that lets those brains actually do stuff. It's what turns a model from a simple text generator into something that can reason, plan, and take real action. And this slide just nails the value proposition. In the before times, a developer had to code all this stuff by hand, managing the conversation's history, calling external tools, handling failures and retries, even building a separate database just for memory. It's a huge pain. With the agent service, all that grunt work is just handled for you. The state, the tool calls, the memory, it's all built in. This lets developers actually focus on the agent's logic, not the plumbing underneath.
The service does this in three key steps. First, it provides the orchestration, basically a rock-solid runtime environment that manages the agent from start to finish. Second, it handles tool execution, connecting that agent to your company's data, whether it's in SharePoint or some external API. And finally, it takes care of deployment, making it super easy to plug your new agent into the apps your employees use every single day, like Microsoft Teams.
So we have our models and we have our agents. Awesome. But how do you actually build something with all this? Well, Foundry is designed to hold your hand through the entire life cycle, from that first what-if idea all the way to a full-blown application running in production. And that journey usually breaks down into four main stages. You start with a prototype, just to kick the tires on an idea. Then you move into the build phase, where you get serious. After that, you have to evaluate it. Is it any good? And finally, you operate it, which means launching it and keeping it running smoothly. And Foundry has tools for every single stage.
For prototyping, you've got the online playground for quick tests, or you can use Foundry Local to run models right on your own laptop. When you're building, Foundry projects give you a secure little sandbox to organize all your work. For evaluation, there are built-in tools to measure stuff like accuracy and coherence. And for the final operate stage, it hooks right into tools like GitHub for automated deployment and monitoring, a practice we call LLM Ops.
Now, let's be real, none of this amazing tech matters one bit if it's not secure. For any serious enterprise, things like governance, security, and trust, they're not optional. And this is baked into the very core of Foundry's design. I love this quote because it perfectly captures the whole philosophy here. This isn't about chasing the latest, flashiest AI trend. It's about building a solid, reliable platform that a huge organization can actually trust with its most sensitive data and business processes. So how does it actually deliver on that promise of trust? Well, it directly tackles the biggest risks. Are you worried about who can access what? Boom, it integrates with Microsoft Entra ID for role-based access control. Concerned about harmful content or jailbreak attempts? It has content safety filters built right in. Do you have strict compliance rules about where your data can live? No problem. You can bring your own storage and virtual networks, making sure your data never, ever leaves your control. This whole idea of governance is literally built into the architecture. You can think of it in layers. At the very top, you have the Foundry resource, which sets the big picture rules for billing and security. Inside that, you have individual projects, which are like secure containers so different teams can work on their own stuff safely. And overseeing the whole thing is the management center, that single dashboard where IT can manage permissions and keep an eye on everything. Okay, let's zoom out and put a bow on this. Why is Foundry more than just another tool for developers? Well, because it really represents a fundamental change in how we even think about creating software. For decades, we've built software based on rigid rules. If this happens, then do that. It's all been very prescriptive. Foundry gives us the foundation to build a totally new kind of application, intelligent systems. These are systems that don't just follow a script. They can actually reason about a problem, adapt on the fly to new information, and act with a clear purpose to achieve a goal. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. If we all agree that AI is the next big evolution of software, what foundation are you building on? Are you still trying to duct tape a bunch of separate services together, or are you building on a unified command center that was designed from day one for this new era?